Hello, my name is Rob Boss, and welcome to the Joy of Building. These are all the pieces you're going to need to build a Chaos Bob with me. Yes, now let's get started. Alright, first of all, let's bring out our 1x8 Technic bricks. Now, help put these things together. We're gonna build a little frame that's gonna go in between the two of them. And remember, the axles that are gonna be used in this frame are gonna be 6 long. Studs long. Now all we're gonna do is just make sure that the ends of these things are even. And it looks like they are, so let's just put them into the Technic bricks. And if they aren't even, don't worry. There's no mistakes, just bad concept. Now, I really shouldn't be putting on this piece. I forgot a few steps, as you'll see. Now, I was gonna put on this motor, but then I remembered I missed a few steps. Alright, now I was able to remember. Yeah. Alright, now we're gonna get 4 of these 1x4 little plates, and then 2 of these 1x10 plates. Now we're just gonna put them right onto these little 1x8 Technic bricks. And you know what? Don't get all worried about the names of these plates and everything. You can just ignore that. Alright, now I can put that top plate on. And by the way, that's a 6x8 plate, if you want to be all technical. Now we can put in our little motors, and cute little circuit cube motors. They're really great for these tiny little projects. And now we're going to put them in opposing different directions, as you can tell. That way we can power 2 different tracks. Alright, now we can put in our wheels. Now, you only need 2 wheels that have these little cross axle holes in them. Now we're just going to take a 1x4 axle and then with a little pin bushing, and we're going to make 2 of those things. And then we're just put them into these little motors, put them right into the motor ports, and then yeah. And then now we're gonna put in some caster wheels. They don't have to have the cross axle holes in them, but I think that they're a little bit more secure. Right now we're gonna put on some bushings into these, along with their pins, cross axle pins, the white new ones. Well, I think they're new, but a little bit old by now. You might notice I messed up one of those wheels. Now we're gonna put on some more of them wheels. And now I've gotta fix that little rascal of a wheel right there. Put on our other wheel and then put on another wheel. Put on a lot of wheels here. Now we put on some tracks. And then we'll have for ourselves a nice little foundation. Now these tracks are a little bit hard to put onto these wheels, but you'll get a hang of it, and after the first one. Alright, now we've got ourselves a nice, proper little foundation. But we're gonna need our battery box and grabbers. This is our little Bluetooth battery box from Circuit Cubes. Remember, not sponsored. Then we're gonna put it on here, and this thing is gonna be what's powering and controlling our whole little robot here, so very important. Now we've got one more motor, the last one you're gonna see here, and then We've got a worm gear box, these little translucent, transparent ones here. And we're going to put a little 6-long axle in there with a little red bushing, along with the worm gear, of course. Very, very important. Now we're going to put on our motor, and the most important part about this. And then we're just going to put it right on top of our little chaos spot here. This is going to be powering our little claw, little grabby little thingy. And then we're going to put in a little 24 tooth gear. And then we're going to put in an axle. If I can find one. There we go. And nope, that's not the right one. Wait a minute. Nope. Yeah, that's not the right one. Now that's the right one. A 5-long axle. The first one you've seen here. Last one too. Now we're going to have to make the claw that goes on here. So we've got some of these linear actuator, little like bevel gear things, whatever. Call them what you want, but then we're going to have to put that thing on there. And wait, how do I do this? Wait a minute. No, that doesn't go on there, right? Alright, I remember now. So we gotta take a little 12 tooth bevel gear here, put it on. And then right now it doesn't look like much, but this is gonna turn into our little claw. I'm putting in our 6-long axle, and then a little bigger gear that I can't remember its name of. But you know, these Lego pieces are just so confusing to put together, the names. And then we're going to take a little pin bushing, as I call them, or a 1x1 beam. I don't know who calls them that. But then we're going to put on a half bushing, any color you can find them in. And then we're going to find another one. Yeah, we're going to take another one of those linear actuator, bevel gear, mouth, tipsy-turvy things, whatever. And then we're going to put in one of these little stud pin things. And then we're going to take this little doohickey thing here, and we're just going to put it right onto that other bevel gear thing. Wait a minute, I think I missed. Oh yeah, we have to put on a bushing here. And then a half bushing, and then we're going to put on a full bushing. And then we're going to put on the other bevel gear piece thing. I'm just going to snap it right in. If you know anything about these little, never mind, that is not apparent. Now we're going to take some more pieces here and make the claw, most important part in my opinion. Now we're just going to take one of these little 12 tooth little bevel gears. Then we're going to take one of these other pieces here. We're going to take one of these little axles that's going to hold our bigger gears. Have the little yellow half bushings on there. They can be gray, black if you can find the color, or anything you really want. You know what I'm just noticing? I put the, never mind. Anyways, now we put on these other gears, but make sure you don't put in those axles all the way through, because we have to put on the claws. And now we have to take one of these little angled half beam pieces here. They're really easy to find nowadays, especially. And then now we're just gonna take one of these little half bevel gear pieces again. Put it on here. Oh yeah, I like that. Now we can put on another one of these angled half beam pieces, black one this time. But the colors really don't matter, as you can really tell. I don't care how the colors are. I just care that the whole thing works. And now we gotta put on our rubber pieces. This is kind of a part where you can get pretty mixed up yourself. Now let's see here. We're gonna have to make our claws. Now we're gonna have to take our little rubber bits here. These rubber bits are very common. Now we gotta take some of these little 3-long axles. Very, 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 very common. Then we can take some of these. What am I using here? All right, some two long red axles with some 2 long half beams. Very, very simple little stuff here. Nice and simple, the way I like it. Now let's work on our second claw. Alright, now we're going to be using these 3 long pieces here, along with a half bushing, because Lego's not exactly cheap anymore. Now, yeah, I have to flip it on the other side. Now, let's just put it on to our claw. Nice, there we go. And now that I look at it, looks like I put on these rubber bits on the wrong way. Alright, well that's an easy fix, you know. This happens all the time with Legos and about any other things, but I can only think of Legos at the moment. Alright, now let's put this piece on here. Alright, now remember, the claw that's on top gets a longer piece for the rubber, and then the piece that's on the bottom gets the shorter bit. Alright, before we send this thing off, we have to hook up all the wires. Now, wiring's always just a pain. Now, let's see here. We gotta take our 2 longest ones. These are gonna go to our motors powering the tracks. Then the shorter one is just gonna go over to our little motor powering the claw. I kind of want to be careful the way you wire these things up, because if you put them on the wrong way, they'll change the direction of your motor spinning. So sometimes you just have to play around with it until it works for you. But yeah,